What is up, Well family, and welcome to Blockchain Beats, where we explore the pioneering artists taking audio and music to the next level of emerging tech and interactivity with NFTs. Our guest today is Harrison First, the multi-talented musician who continues to make waves with his infectious rhythms in all corners of Web3. Now the early pioneer comes through to talk about his next album and changing audio NFT landscape along with an exclusive listen to some new music. Harrison, excited to have you back with us to talk some new stuff today.
Thank you, Nightmare. I appreciate you guys for having me. What's up, Well gang? Yeah, man, I'm excited, bro.
Always forging ahead with new stuff and really, pushing the envelope. Talk to me a little bit about what's new. It's been, about 3-4 months since we last touched base, but in the NFT space, that's a long time.
Nah, it's super long, man. It's super long. Full transparency. I reached out because I wanted to connect with you guys again as I'm kicking off this like another gear, like literally another gear. So basically, what's changed since the last we spoke, and with things around, around me, is that I actually just discovered that there's a music NFT community. So it's kind of weird. Like I've really been in the NFT space for a while now, but what has popped up for the like this past year is like a music NFT community where people from Web 2 and music have really been utilizing these NFT platforms. And I really immersed myself into the community now and really try to benefit the community with knowledge that I know from Web 2 and then over into Web 3. So just trying to share my knowledge and really do a lot of immersive stuff with my music videos, and just future projects, man.
Yeah, I've seen you active on there, and definitely saw a change of pace and as to what you were doing before. So I was excited to talk with you and see what has caught traction and what hasn't, because I know you're really out there experimenting a lot in a lot of different avenues. Before we go too far down that route, there may be a few people here that haven't had exposure to you before. Could you just give
Mhm.
us a brief synopsis on you and what you're all about?
Yeah, of course, of course. So my name is Harrison First. You guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, or hop into my Discord. But pretty much, I started out as a music producer, producing for artists like Saint John, Teflon Sega, and currently with my main artist named Angie, based here in Stockholm. And then I kind of gravitated into a producer artist, where I was just dropping songs that I really loved and featuring other artists on those songs. And then I would say in 2019, that's when I said I got introduced to Web3, and my first taste of everything was social tokens, and I created my own social token first, and to date right now the sorry to date the the main use of the token is a governance token as well as a utility, or sorry, access token to First Audio, which is a marketplace that I created for NFT creators and musicians. And yeah, and today, right now, I'm really immersed in all things Web3. I really try to immerse every single aspect of it, from social tokens, to the metaverse, to NFTs. Like it's all one universe to me.
Yeah, man. And just to ground everybody that may not have had exposure to your music or seen any of your videos, I got a track queued up here. I'd love to play it for everyone just to get a little taste of what Harrison First brings to the table.
Thank you. This one was collected by Cooper. He's probably one of the biggest influencers and collectors in Web3 for music NFTs.
Yeah, and so we'll talk to you a little bit about catalog and some of the momentum that's been catching with one of ones and things of that nature lately. But let's take a listen.
Mhm.
Harrison! 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 She need that, feel it. I need that, it come up. You know that, it's enough. She need that, I need that. She need that, feel it. I need that, it come up. You know that, it's enough. She need that, I need that. I was 21 when I fell for you. Knew you had a man, so I played it cool. Told you I can't wait if that shit fell through. Saw you in the fall and you said let's go. And she died and I don't wanna leave her. Going home, you can say no more. And she died and I don't wanna leave her. Keep me up so I don't fall out. She need that, feel it. I need that, to come up. You know that, it's enough. She need that, I need that. She need that, feel it. I need that, to come up. You know that, it's enough. She need that, I need that. Come me up slow if you need me now, no way. I wanna know if you're coming all the way. And she died and I don't wanna leave her. Go home, make the same no more. And she died and I don't wanna leave her. Keep me up so I don't fall out. She need that, you feel that. I need that, you come up. You know that, it's enough. She need that, I need that. She need that, you feel that. I need that, you come up. You know that, it's enough. She need that, I need that. You know something new, you know something new. I'm waiting for you, I'm waiting for you. I know something new, you know something new. I'm waiting for you, I'm waiting for you, I'm waiting for you, I'm waiting for you.
You gonna feel this shit, man. You gonna feel this, Harrison. 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 You gonna feel this. Act like they ain't gonna let you know, man.
There's no religion, I can't get it. Don't know where we go. I don't know where we go. There's no religion,
Hey, 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 hey. Wishing in a motherfucker like to say. Mm, 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 mm.
Wow, that was super dope, Harrison.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
Was that an amalgamation of different songs, or is that actually one song how you released it?
Yeah, I released it like that. So I pretty much I did the songs within the same vibe, obviously, and then I kind of like did a little DJ mix to mesh it all together. So that was me. Like I don't usually do like I'm not usually a vocalist, but I wanted to experiment, man. So I did the whole thing, produced, mixed, and mastered, and then did that little whatever. I don't even know what you call it, like a little singy shit type stuff.
Yeah, yeah, you did you. You did you.
Yeah,
I was,
yeah.
I was at the end trying to. Thank goodness I was muted, or else you would have bore witness to some horrible attempt at a remix. But when someone has some really dope stuff, it inspires you. At least now people can see. I used to always make reference. Oh, my neck's snapping. Guess what? Now you can see it. Right now you can see it actually happening.
Yeah.
Man, so that was Catalog Works, and I wanted to talk to you. You talk about these platforms emerging over the last quarter, which is a long
Mhm,
time in the NFT space, right? That's almost
mhm,
representative of a year in normal time or whatever.
mhm,
A lot of things have caught momentum and evolved since then. And your foray into Catalog Works. Talk to me about that because I feel like, from what my vantage point, what I've been looking at, there's been a lot of
mhm.
momentum of people and collectors kind of coming to a better understanding of the value proposition of the art itself and really saying, hey, this doesn't need a fancy video. This doesn't need X, Y, and Z. The fact that this is a creation from this incredible creator, I value that art, and that's why I want to collect it.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the beautiful thing about this. Like before, it wasn't the case. And that's probably one of the primary reasons I was doing a lot of collaborations with 2D and 3D artists and having the music kind of secondary, almost like a composition for, that 3D art. But now the value has caught up. You know, Platforms like Catalog Works, Sound, there's a couple others out there. But they have really like honed in on like this thing where the music is the utility. The music is the primary component for music NFT creators now. Like, so everybody, what I noticed is that now everybody has this amazing opportunity as like digital creators or, where everything is broken up now into different things. So if you're a 2D artist, 3D artist, photographer, a filmmaker, a musician, now you all have this opportunity to have your own space. Whereas before, you were kind of trying to figure it out and mix it into what was popular as an NFT. So Catalog Works has done like an amazing job. They have like this prestige around them, and I like how they have this one of one type thing. And you can obviously see like with the first collection, I wanted to work around that. So I literally dropped 17 instrumentals. I think it's about 17 instrumentals in that first collection, and then did it. I mixed it all into a DJ set because it could only be one wave file. So even though I do like one of ones, I like this whole thing where I kind of do like a compilation now, and it's like you can't skip it. You have to listen through the whole thing, which is such an amazing thing to me because obviously with streaming platforms, and I do it too. Like if after the first 10 or 20 seconds, if I don't hear what I want to hear, I skip or I skip through a song. But now with this, you cannot skip. So I like what Catalog Works is doing, man. It's and like the guys, they're actually really good guys, the developers and the team there. So uh, they've really done some good work.
Yeah, shout out to Catalog Work, shout out to Song Camp and all the things that they do over there. That's exciting and
Hmm.
innovative. I found it interesting because, like we talked about, the paradigm had shifted a little bit to focus on the music itself was the utility and the art. Um,
Hmm.
and creators are able to fundraise in ways that they hadn't before. We're talking about ranges that I feel like wasn't really the same kind of tiers that people were buying music NFTs before. I think they really helped elevate the value to people, to collectors. There's people out there trying to make the equivalent of a vault, right, of just music NFTs and things of that nature. You have advocates like Koopa. What do you think is really driving that shift in the mentality and how people view the music NFTs?
I really think people are tired, man. Like musicians, musicians the most. Like we are extremely fed up with how the music industry is at the current state of the music industry and how musicians are treated. And I don't like to complain. I just like to adapt and I like to do, which is one of the main reasons why I'm in this space. But a lot of people have seen, like you're seeing like a lot of big artists hop into the music NFT space. Not just collecting like bored apes for clout and shit like that, but like Meek Mill, Tory Lanez. You have, Rack. Obviously, he's always been in Web3, um, and a couple other big DJs, Don Diablo, and they're in this space because in Web 2, we cannot keep relying on algorithms to determine our success in music, right? We can't keep taking pennies on a dollar, and we can't keep taking like some weird algorithm that we're not too privy to determine if we're successful or not, or if we can make a living off of our music. And worst of all, I love Spotify. Like it's a great platform, and they're right here in Stockholm, in Sweden, where I live, and they do amazing things. But now they have gotten too big and now it's just like the music industry is centralized around one platform, one tech company, and it's a problem. And people have identified that problem. And what music NFTs have done for a lot of people is kind of allowed is freedom. I don't like to talk like this because it's like weird, kind of cloudy talk, but it is freedom. And the most beautiful thing about it is that it's a it's like it's a creator economy in the music NFT space. You see other people, other musicians buying other NFTs and collecting other NFTs and people supporting each other, which I think is an amazing thing. So yeah, people are fed up, man.
Yeah, man, and we touch on this almost every time. Streaming as a platform does great things for music discovery. It can,
Exactly.
right? It can, some people are on the other end of that spectrum, but it can do great things for music discovery. But the model is antiquated. I forget who it was, but someone was just speaking at ETH Denver, and they were saying in their executive tenure at a label, if they had 100 million streams, it equated to something like $300,000 in revenue that then had to be chopped up with all the collaborators, producers, people that were part of the process. So by the time it gets to the artist, and they're lucky if they get, uh, you know, five figures, right? Like it was something
Hmm.
preposterous. And that's a gargantuan number. Gargantuan number. Fabio, I know you've touched on this a few times as well in our discussions.
Yeah, I mean, just like how all the platforms are paying less than a penny per stream and how it takes so much to make a living off of music, considering the typical way to make music has been through concerts and merch. But now, with NFTs, it allows um, the song, the music itself to be the driving way of allowing people to make a living and reclaim that value.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And what I see, like I've been stuck in this space right now where I've really only been like immersing myself in Web3, music activities. Because right now the current state of music doesn't really inspire me, like in Web2. And I really feel like we're in this middle ground, like this shift, like this the same thing that happened when all the blockbusters went crumbling down, and then you seen like these things called red box, and then Netflix was kind of like edging their way in, and it was like this gray space in this middle ground until where we're at right now, where it's Netflix and blockbusters is dead. It's Spotify, and nobody really buys music for a dollar or uses Napster. Like it was great to knock out like streaming helped with a lot, but now I feel like we're again in this other shift, and I don't believe that NFTs are going to replace. I don't think it can replace what was going on now until it can figure out the music discovery component. But smart Web 2 platforms that I hope will be smart, which is Spotify, and I'm sure they're looking at this because their other counterparts and colleagues, Facebook, which is now Meta, has kind of adopted Web3, and people are talking about it, and I merge, find a way to emerge and make it easier, with NFTs and maybe streaming into one. Because I've been also experimenting with other platforms on Polygon. One platform called Mix, another platform which people know of as Mint Songs, and they're also trying to. Well, I know Mix is trying to immerse, this a streaming component as well as the NFT component, as well as the crowdfunding component. They actually trying to do a lot. So there's a lot of people trying to resolve these issues, but I'm not sure if people are ready to catch on to what Mix is doing yet. But there's an opportunity right now, and I'm kind of like just looking at the landscape and just trying to find what inspires me.
Yeah, that's why I like talking to you because I know you're, if there's a lane, you're trying it to see how you could, adapt it and if it makes sense. So when we last talked, you dropped a new album with Angie. How'd that go?
The album went good. The album went pretty good. Um, we released it with, or sorry, we distributed it with, SoundCloud has a distribution company called Repost, so we did it with them. We shot two videos like in this cave in Stockholm, really cool, super cool cave. Like I think they shot, scenes from Dragon Tattoo, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo there, and a couple other big movies there at this set. But it went really good. Me and Angie had a good time. It was like an all rock album. We got some reviews on Swedish television, and it streamed pretty good on Spotify. But yeah, man, we're looking to take it to the next level, and yeah, I'm excited for what Angie has to come. And I think this time around, I might be taking more of like an executive producer approach for the stuff with Angie. So I'm excited to play that role in her career.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what new weapon her dad trenches out for the music video. He had that mace last time with the blood dripping from it. If anyone hasn't seen that
Man,
video, you got to check that out. That was like a crazy scene for sure. We also talked last time about the evolution of First and kind of things that you were progressively looking to do with that. Have you taken some steps in that realm?
yeah, a lot of this stuff has been like on the back end. I'll be
Right.
transparent with you guys, but we're working on, building, first sovereign chain. We're still working on that, and then having at least one DApp or a decentralized app, on that blockchain, on that first blockchain. And obviously, that DApp is going to be tailored towards, musicians, and most likely it's going to be an NFT platform, but for songwriters and producers. So, for instance, songwriters who have acapellas that they want to mint, they would mint it there. Or producers who just want to mint instrumentals, they would mint it there. In the hopes of people being able to purchase that NFT, but then also being able to use that, a cappella for their DJ mix or, that production to rap or sing on. So that's something that's still getting worked on. Um, and we still have, we're still using First as, like I said, the two primary things are, the governance aspect and the access with First. But this probably kind of it. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
Well, no, I was just going to say that, I also like, I know Joyner Lucas, right, and his Tully project. I think the market's ripe for something that could be an app or DApp that could help some of these processes with NFTs for musicians and connecting with community and really bridging that gap. Because I think that's something that people struggle with. They just see at the onset what it is, and it's a fire hose as a community member, let alone someone trying to produce within it. So I think that's an awesome idea. I'm
Mhm.
excited. This is the first I've heard that you were trying to make something native and trying to make your own chain. So very exciting stuff.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I know it's gonna be a lot of work, so I'm not gonna rush this one. I'm not
Right.
gonna rush this one because I still want to balance my time with all the other things. But I think it's a good opportunity. Like literally, I lay in bed sometimes. I go for walks, and I'm like, what do people need? Like, what do people need? And just try to figure out a solution to problems that maybe I have. And you know, Web3 and NFT platforms, music NFT platforms are kind of help solving the solutions for, the music artist. And also I see some like composers and DJs and producers in that space as well. But, the people who are really, really undervalued and underappreciated when it comes to like music is like the songwriter, man. Like people don't really pay attention to the songwriter or sometimes the producer. So I think this is an opportunity that maybe this could work, for them. This NFT platform I want to build for them.
Right. Right. Now,
Yeah.
so you mentioned a new album is in the works. And you're going about it a little bit different way. Talk to me about this specific project and why you're excited with the platforms that have been created. Talk to me about what you got going on.
So, I mean, I just mentioned, producers being undervalued. So I have this new project called Long Live the Producer. And I'm running this campaign, this crowdfund via Mirror. I know I didn't do it in the typical way, like the crowdfunding function way, but I pretty much had a post mapping out the entire project, and it says an NFT. And right now we're raising, or I'm raising 15 ETH for my next album. So this is like super exciting. Like it's an experiment for me. I've seen other people try this and do this. And so the whole idea is, to raise 15 ETH to fund my next album in exchange for 40% ownership of my master royalties paid out in first. Also getting free music NFTs and access to MP3s of my music. So it's a super, super cool thing. We have everything mapped out in this Long Live the Producer project. So right now we have 7 backers. Really appreciate, these are some loyal supporters of me. And we have 3 tiers. Obviously, there is legendary, which is, is 1 ETH, rare, which is 0.10 ETH, and then also the common collector, which is I think 0.01 maybe. So with this project, literally right now, I'm already in the midst of building and making this project, and essentially what I'm trying to do is this is going to be an album just all me, in the sense of it's going to be all production by me, all mixing and mastering by me. But I want to feature other artists from around the world on this project. So I've been traveling to London, Amsterdam. I'm going to Berlin next week, and I'm having sessions with different songwriters and trying to have a project where it's like a worldly project with my sound. So for instance, and I was in London last week or 2 weeks ago, working with 3 different songwriters, and I had them get on some of my song, like my production essentially, and just inviting them in this new sound. So I want to have like a 12 song album with about 3 to 5 music videos, and I want to launch this, as kind of like a community thing. So it's like people who invest in this project or crowdfunding in this project, they'll also receive first, and then they'll also be able to have decisions on the album. So not final decisions, but suggestions, which will be obviously raised, as a proposal in the DAO. Because now as a collector, you're going to be receiving first, so now you're going to be in the first DAO. So it's super cool things like that. I can read off a couple of things that we have here. So some of the benefits for the legendary backers is that they'll receive 1 music NFT from the album that will be exclusively on Web3 platforms and not on any Web2 platforms. They'll also receive 1K first, and then royalty ownership paid out in first. For rare backers, they'll receive an MP3 of all the music in my Mixpod, which is another NFT platform that I utilize. So you'll receive all the music in that pod. And also 100 first and royalty ownerships paid out in first. And for common backers, you receive 100 first, royalty ownership paid out in first as well. So for some people who are thinking like, where's the 15 ETH going to go to? Like, where does this go to? Well, not only are you're collecting this NFT on Mirror and you're receiving like royalty ownerships and all the other things that I mentioned, but the 5 ETH is pretty transparent. So 15 is transparent. So 5 ETH will go to the artists on the album. Another 5 ETH will go into the first liquidity pool. And then another 5 ETH will be reserved for the production of the album. And these will be in wallets that have, that I'll be showing people in Discord so that they can see, see where the money is going essentially, and kind of have that transparency around it. So it's a little bit more, and if people want to learn more about this whole process, it's almost kind of like we're going to be doing this together. And for some people who do know me from my Web2 kind of music, you can do some calculations, yourself when it comes to, okay, like, all right, so if I invest in this project, how much streams does Harrison First get on average, and what does that mean for me, if he's giving out 40% of his royalties in first. It's a cool thing. It's an experiment, and I'm literally, it's kind of cool because you guys, people who are invested in the project will be like my A&Rs, and kind of like telling me like, this is dope, this is not dope. So I want to see what this is like, man. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, a lot of components there, right? Definitely shows your breadth of experience over the past couple of years in this space. So I really like a couple of things. Number one, I like the transparency. Number two, I like that it's inclusive, because one of the comments about it's great that the artists are finding such tractions with these one of ones, but for some people that's out of reach, right? You may have fans in, a country where that's not feasible. And so you've tiered this so it's accessible. And someone may just want to be a part of it because they appreciate you as an artist, or they appreciate what this means and experimenting or whatever. So they can do that as well. But the various components between share of royalties, a say in the process. If someone wanted to be like, hey, you really need Nightmare on that track or whatever, you can buy out some first. You could try to make it happen. The ability to do that, I think, is super cool. So you're marrying so many different things between DeFi, between experiential stuff with you as an artist, between the NFTs themselves, which may end up being the most beneficial thing if people are investing, right, so to speak, right? There's a lot of leg room for that. So I love that it's such a white space that you get to experiment with.
Yeah, yeah, and I appreciate you seeing the vision. Uh, yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think it's cool. I mean, obviously, I think it's cool because I'm making it, but I'm just imagining like, what if I was able to be a part of Kanye West's process? Sitting in my apartment or my studio in Stockholm, Sweden, making proposals on the album, saying take this out or put this in, or what about Nightmare? What if he could be on there? So, I'm not no Kanye West, but it's
Hey
an
man,
experiment, man. Who knows? Like they
we
could probably look at what we're doing here and then be like, "Yo, this kid Harrison First, let's copy what he's doing."
Fabio, you need to hop on a plane and get your camera rolling so we can sell this to Netflix. Get on
I'm
that.
getting my tickets right now.
Yeah, man. So that's super exciting. Is there a time frame to be cognizant of here, or is it just kind of open for the time being?
It's open for the time being. Like I put 4 weeks on here, so I think it's been about 2 weeks. But I might be extending that. Trying to get as close to 15 ETH as possible. So I think in the document I said it's either as soon as we get hit 15 ETH, then we're going to start the process, or within 4 weeks. So I might extend it past the 4 weeks, so we can get a little bit closer to 15 ETH.
Very
Well,
cool.
a lot closer.
Yeah, and also, I saw this. Congratulations on the sale of the music video on Glass. Talk to me a little bit about this, and you know, kind of the difference in your eyes versus this kind of experience versus catalog works and people valuing the song in itself.
This one was really good. Like I worked with Glass to kind of see what their platform can offer and do. And what I found out is that they also have some really great guys over there who care and believe in the power of like not just music videos, but just video content. This right here, what we're doing right here, being able to mint this on Glass, weekly series, man, weekly series of beats and eats. They see this as like, people being able to get paid for the content that they produce, video content that they produce. So they're trying to figure out the solutions or make it better for these creators, people who create culture, like what you're doing, documenting all these, great interviews and discussions you have. So I really like the guys over there. The process was really cool. They utilized Zora, uh, Zora's protocol. So it's cool. It's cool. Like they're like their platform is a curation platform. So they show care. They do the Twitter Spaces. They promote the projects. So it was really good. I think it was mostly like my audience. They saw it. So I think that was one of my comment collectors who picked that one up. Really great supporter. He's also a musician as well. But I like this. I was waiting for like, more and more platforms to tailor towards like video content. So this was an experiment because, for those, this video is actually already on YouTube, I think a year or
Right,
two ago.
right.
Um, so I wanted to see what Glass was about before I start doing like original stuff. And, you know, currently right now I don't usually mix my Web 2 songs or songs in Web 2 which are on streaming platforms on as an NFT. But I wasn't sure what I'm going to be doing with like music videos yet. So like all the stuff that is on Catalog Works, mostly, yeah, all the stuff on Catalog Works, Mint Songs or Mix, you'll never see that or never find it on, Spotify, Apple Music, et cetera, as of now, because I want to keep it separate and I want people to know me in a different way. Like those who collected the song that you played in the very beginning, people from, who just only listen to my Spotify will never know that I'm doing music like that. And people who only collect my NFTs and haven't gone to my Spotify will never know that I have like a song with Quintino or some other, dance songs. So I kind of like that where it's separated. But with videos, I'm not too sure yet. So I'm just experimenting.
Right. I was going to ask whether that was a conscious decision because you feel like giving some exclusivity or difference in experiences, or it had to do with labels and all that would involve in the back end, or what exactly was that to do
Yeah,
with,
that was
or a little of both.
that. Yeah, so it was two of them. So I kind of want to keep it less complicated with like
Right.
labels and like publishing stuff. So that's why I kind of do stick to the music and kind of do it all by myself until actually this Friday I have a collab, my first music collab. But another thing is I was listening to somebody speak, and I was complaining at the time when I keep hearing that Joe Rogan is making this and this from Spotify, and I was like, why doesn't Spotify have the time to put more money in raising the algorithm for payouts for musicians? And somebody kind of pointed something out to me and mentioned that like if your music is everywhere or your content is everywhere, then what value does it really have? And this is not true for all cases, but it just caused me to think like, okay, I do want to create some value for my music, not letting it be everywhere. Obviously, I'm trying to be discovered, but in the NFT space, I want my collectors to have, some of that exclusivity so that they know that at least for now, because anything can change. And if it does change, I'll propose it to the DAO, and they'll say yes or no, and I'll listen to that. But as of right now, I want them to have like that special feeling, like this is only as an NFT, and you cannot get this. You can't listen to this on streaming platforms. So I like to just use that as a way of value proposition.
Yeah, I think I caught some of that interview actually that you're referencing, and I think in that same interview, you shouted out the whale community as something being exemplary of how an artist could engage by having people that are there that are, carrying the torch if the artist was, caught up or whatever. I think you made a correlation like
Hmm.
Whale Shark can come in and be impactful, and then he has other
Hmm.
people there that are really doing good things. So thank you for also recognizing what we do in the NFT
Yeah,
community.
man.
But we're big fans of yours, as you know. A couple of questions from the community I'd love to relay to you while it's still relevant in the conversation here. Um, we're talking about labels and the machinations about how artists are getting paid. Uh, can this model of more and more things moving towards these high tier pricing and really high values of music NFTs, can this coexist with more accessible options to grow fan bases, or are we going to lean in one direction and not the other?
No, I think there's going to have to be a balance. There's going to have to be a balance. And I was trying to balance that out when I was utilizing Mint songs. And what I realized, so what I did on Mint songs is I literally told my collectors and told my community that I'm, putting, I think, yeah, it was one record, one song, and I was going to have 30 editions at point 0.10 ETH. And I had to explain to someone said, why are you putting your music on Mint songs? And I said I wanted to, use this as an opportunity to allow more people to collect my work, at lower price points. And he was like, yeah, that makes sense. But what I found out is that people who are, people who are on Ethereum, for some reason, they don't like to be on Polygon, or like they look at the a value of art a little bit differently based off of the NFT music NFT platform you're utilizing. So I mean, I think there will be a balance, but I think there has to be right now. I'm waiting for that new sexy music NFT platform to come around that kind of like shows people like, yeah, it's okay to put lower price points and higher quantities for your music NFTs. And Party Bid, they're really great. Sound is also really great too. Sharing one NFT and people being able to fractionalize it, fractionalize it. But I don't know if I saw something where it's like, quantities and people able to get, one copy, one song with high editions at lower price points yet. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. It definitely has to be a balance.
Right. Do you think secondary sales is a driver that or a goal that we need to aspire to figure out?
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know if you saw the tweet. I just tweeted that early this morning from the First Audio Twitter page. I said, does music NFTs have resale value, and can people generate royalties from music NFTs? And I think soon, right? I think maybe if there's when we start introducing some music NFTs as like projects similar to some of these PFP projects where it gets, really hyped and, does well. But I think it's because there's not so many editions of the songs, right? There's these one of ones, and with mint songs you might do 30 or 40 copies, but those platforms are not super popular yet. So it's a bit harder. I don't know what it is right now, but maybe it's not the calling for music NFTs. Maybe that's not the thing for that yet.
Right. Someone asked an interesting question in some of the audio NFT discussions that we have in Whale, and they asked about this royalty sharing model that's, Blau and Rack and people have kind of put forward and try to present to the collectors. Is it substantial? Is that a utility, or is it more of a symbolic gesture that you can say, hey, I'm collecting part of what, Nas's catalog or whatever?
So this is the thing where you share the royalties every time it resells.
You know what? It wasn't that nuanced, right? I guess there's more to it than I'm even thinking here, but people were
Yeah.
saying, yeah, I can get a piece of royalties of X, Y, and Z. Is it more that it's just a feather in your cap that you say, hey, you know what? I'm a part of this ecosystem of Harrison First. His success is part of my success, regardless of what the actual quantity is, right? It's just
Mhm.
being another way to be a part of it and experience it. Or is it something that could build up to, be as an investment that someone's making, perhaps? I don't know. But that was the question that was poised.
Yeah, yeah. I think if there is income there, obviously it could be a cool, interesting, like other source of revenue for those collectors. But if it's I mean, obviously if it's little revenue there, then it's like something cool to say that you can do, like it's a talking piece at the dinner table, saying, "Hey, I'm collecting, or I own a share of X, Y, and Z's artists, um, royalties." But that's the reason why I kind of wanted to have people share in my royalties in Web 2 because I know there's royalties there. I'm not generating any royalties or secondary sales that much, when it comes to music NFTs. So I said, okay, let me do it where, I'll mix in the Web 2, Web 3. We're going to share my Web 2 success, and it's going to be paid out in first. So then you can really say that, yeah, you own a piece of, my royalties.
Dope. Yeah, I would love to sit at the dinner table and brag every time something came on. But like, hey, you just put some money into my bank account. Cha-ching. I have
We
to ask
got
this
you.
question. So you're tied in, man. Has there been any movement from the labels and management to try to deter you from doing NFT things and Web3 things, or have they been, positive and supportive?
Yeah, I mean, my publisher has been like positive and supportive. I think I've generated enough revenue to probably just get out of my deal. And my director knows what I'm doing. My director over in the Amsterdam office at Sony is very forward thinking. So I'm blessed to have him, being so forward thinking. And he's trying to really get into a lot of Web3 stuff because over in Amsterdam, they have the biggest DJs in the world, and a lot of DJs have been really adopting everything Web3 for the past couple of years. So he's very privy to this. So it's supportive, and it's like such a gray area because they know I'm generating revenue from this music, but I look at it totally separate. I don't even take the time to register it, I don't even take the time to register because yeah, it's a bit complicated. That's why I said it's another reason why I'm kind of keeping it separate too. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Fabio, how about from your perspective?
Are you asking about
No,
labels'
yeah,
perceptions
yeah.
and stuff, or
You're more involved on the production side. You're actually, you've been actively doing stuff, minting some yourself. Do you feel like it's advocated for, or do you think that there's some hesitation, or they're looking at it kind of side-eyed, like, hey, this is kind of digging into our model. We need to hop in here quick. What do you see as happening?
yeah, I guess my perception is like it's kind of hard to gauge what the labels are, what their incentive is, you know? I know from a producer standpoint, and even just a musician standpoint, you know, NFTs are obviously something that we're all looking at to try to make up for that lost value from streaming and stuff. But the labels, I'm not sure because um, I don't really know the back end of it. I just think that the value that they're making, is it going to the artist or is it going to the label? Is it going, like, where is that money going to from these sales that they're making that is from the label itself? So those are just questions I have more so than opinions.
Well, that's
Yeah,
why I
with
love
some,
something. Oh, go ahead, Harrison.
I was gonna say some artists, yeah, they do have to really communicate with their labels about these things. Like for me, I'm independent as an artist, but as a producer and songwriter, I'm with Sony. But I know, for instance, some people who are doing these big $1 million drops, that has to be coordinated with their labels because they're not letting them just, generate revenue from music that they theoretically own because, they're signed to them go. So they have to kind of redo some contracts. I've heard of these cases. Even though that an NFT is a whole separate, asset class, obviously the labels want to start to see how they can generate revenue from this as well. And I mean, you have to you best believe that like when these big artists are dropping these music NFTs that are going for millions of dollars, that whether it's Sony, Universal, or whatever, they're trying to figure out ways that they can generate revenue or take from that as well.
Here's a question from the community in that vein. They want to know your opinion. Is there a place for major labels in the NFT space, or do you see it as a threat to the newfound freedom that musicians are finding?
Well, I mean, my first thing would say is a threat. That's just me being like this rebellious type of person. And the moment they try to put some governance around it and write it into the contracts, it'll take away everything for me that I believe in as it relates to this space, which is supposed to be it governing itself, operating off of smart contracts, being decentralized, like everything. So when I hear like a music label trying to step in, it will kind of scare me, but I mean, if I think about it deeply and, just kind of think about some of the pros and cons, you know, off the top of my head, I don't see the pros at the moment, but I'm sure that there could be something there. Um, but yeah, man, like when I first got into it, I really thought this was just like, this is so much fun. Like this is like, direct to consumer now, no middleman was involved. And when you get these like big companies involved because we're seeing big companies get involved. I mean, a lot of these PFP projects aren't just, it's not just the artist anymore. Like these are big companies getting involved, hiring like huge marketing teams to promote these projects and putting like a lot of dollars in to Google Ads to promote these like NFT projects. And now when if we get into it where it's like big labels getting into it, just imagine it can turn right into the same thing again where whoever has the most amount of money gets to be seen and gets to be heard, and then all the other people, are struggling again, and maybe that will happen, and that's why it's good right now that we're so early. We're all early. Like even if we're listening to me, or if don't know anything about this, and a lot of things are just being built right now. We're all experimenting. All these NFT platforms are experimenting. Some are really far further than others, but we are still early, which is the good thing. But I do fear a little bit when these big entities come into place, because the bigger you are, the more resources you have, the more noise you can make, which can also block out some of the people who have already been building in this space. But another advantage is that us people, all of us here right now, everyone here who has been like building and contributing to the space, we are going to be the ones that a lot of these larger companies and music companies will need. And just for instance, here in Sweden, I've actually been invited to be on the music scholarship committee where I approve, music scholarships for different music artists only because of the experience I have in Web3. So, I mean, that's the country, inviting me to be on their committee and their board to do that. And hopefully I can, bring, grants for NFT, music NFT creators. So that, these big entities look to us, people in the community, for for guidance.
Yeah. Wow, that's impressive. Congratulations on being part of that board.
Thanks,
Um,
man.
but yeah, I mean, I have opportunities floated to me at different times just because of our experience in this space. So it is an invaluable thing. I think someone was talking about devs in the chat yesterday. People with just minimal experience getting job offers for 500K or something crazy, right? So it's quite
Crazy.
the time to get your footing in Web3 and in NFTs, and lots of opportunity. We talk about the labels and some of the dangers they could bring. It's possible they bring more people to the ecosystem and maybe more investment into infrastructure. One thing I found interesting and someone actually just brought up to ask, your opinion on, I don't know if you had an opportunity to see what Snoop Dogg did with Gala. It was kind of a unique utilization of
Ooh.
NFTs and what they're doing. Did
Nah,
you did you
what did
catch
he
that?
do?
So
No.
Gala, which is a big gaming ecosystem, right? They have,
Mhm,
I mean, they're a market leader in that realm. Huge
mhm,
investment, huge amount of resources, uh, incredible fans that will eat up whatever they put out. They launched two things simultaneously. Number one, music nodes that people can run and support the ecosystem. And I guess if you have a node, you're helping the distribution of music that streams, and other people that buy NFTs place them on the network. And then if you're helping the network by hosting, you get a share of the revenue. If you actually have provided some of the NFTs, you get a share of the revenue. So that's one component. They're launching kind of a music platform. I can't wrap my head around that totally what it means, but I find it interesting. So Snoop Dogg, as you know, or may not know, yeah, you probably do, he rebought the rights to Death Row Records
yeah,
to use
yeah.
the trademark and all of that. And he said, I'm going to launch this as an NFT record label or whatever. We partnered with Gala. They did something where it was a blind mint of songs, 17 songs for his album Back on Death Row, a blind mint of 17 songs. So you paid, I think it was significant. I think it was like $5,000 in equivalent in Gala per. Now, obviously,
Mm,
he's a huge, established artist with a gargantuan legacy. They had 25,000 available. 9,000 of them sold and they stopped the sale. So it didn't, sell out. But that being said, 9,000 at $5,000 is $44 million rake on that NFT drop, which is going to then have other components. And then if, and I don't know the back end, but if they did bake in royalties and everything else from resale, I mean, it's a paradigm shifting kind of event, you would think, right? Like at the least,
damn.
other people are going to look at that and say, all right, I need to have a second look at Web3 and NFTs.
Yeah, Kanye West, he needs to look at it, man. Because he came out and talked about, don't talk to me about NFTs. I'm in the real world, blah,
Right,
blah,
right,
blah.
right.
People
It's
don't know.
interesting
They
you
don't
brought up.
understand.
Oh, I was gonna say it's interesting you brought up Kanye because he said that he was releasing his second Donda 2 strictly on his stem player, which is
Hmm.
like, you know, I can view that similar to NFTs if you're separating your streaming versus where you want to put your platform. But I didn't really understand how he was going to pay his um, everyone who contributed to the album. But I think he's definitely feeling the same messaging of these Web 2, the streaming. It's not very reliable, or it's not very something that you can solely rely on.
Yeah, we're tired of begging. We're tired of begging and hitting up everybody. Please, put me in a playlist. But man, I mean, usually I would be like, I mean, the people that Snoop Dogg has around him are smart, and it's good that he listens. Like, this is a really good space. I didn't even know that Nas was like so immersed in crypto for such a long time. Like, I think I was in the space where he was, dropping on Blau's platform, and he mentioned like I think he said 2013 maybe or 14 that he's been involved. So a lot of these artists, man, the ones who are getting in early, who are such a big name, such a good job on them. I remember when I was listening to Nipsey Hussle continuously just talk about Ethereum. And at that time, I really wasn't involved in crypto at all. All I knew was Bitcoin, and that was it. And that people got drugs with it. And then when I hear like these, when I hear people like Nas and Nipsey Hussle and now Snoop Dogg really utilizing these platforms, I'm like, there's no way that the world is not going to move in this direction. Like, not even just for musicians, man. just like everything, everything, like smart contracts being like the thing that everybody utilizes now in the corporate world. I can see that being super advantageous to a lot of things, like automating, these contracts and putting it into a smart contract, and boom, you can't get fucked over with anything, for the most part. And NFTs kind of solving some issues when it comes to creators getting paid, and this play to earn, in the metaverse, man. It's like Ready Player One. Look at you, look at Nightmare, man. Like I seen, like look at you, man. You look dope as hell. This is crazy.
Hey, thanks. I'm music video ready. So just give me the call. I could pop in there. I can hold a mace. I can swing a little weapon around here. No, but
That'd be dope.
but real talk, incredible stuff. But I think, one of the keys is NFT culture has always permeated in a big way, and authenticity matters. Some of these artists that have success, it's because they've engaged and they've, what Snoop did. Of course, he has smart people around him, but it's unique, right? It's different. I have to think about it a little bit. It's experimenting. What Blau and people are trying to do is disrupt the system, and those are getting traction. Whereas a label coming in and just dropping a cash grab it's not blowing up big numbers. It's just not, right? So I appreciate that there's that safekeeping of the culture that we're able to do, and we got to try to continue to represent things the correct way, whether it be on interviews like this, whether it's spaces makes me nervous sometimes, man, because I go on there and it's oftentimes people that I've also just kind of learned, sharing with other people. And I think as people that have been experimenting, we're blessed to be able to talk with you and learn about the different permeations of this process where you were trying to find your footing and the things you're continuing to experiment with, instead of just a bunch of, let's goes. So thank you for always being frank with us and sharing with us. I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited about this project that you're launching with the crowdfunding, and that we can be a part of it and help shape it.
Yeah, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. One question I have for you and the community, like, what do you guys think about spaces? Because I remember, like, I wasn't immersed in it at all, or any like clubhouse things, and then I pick my head up and I see like everybody's on Twitter Space, so I'm like, all right, let me hop in here a couple of times.
I think everyone's opinion will be different.
Mm,
We're in the middle, and we were in the midst of a pandemic, and Clubhouse launched, and I think it was ideal timing because people wanted a way to communicate, people wanted a way to connect, and also the NFT movement was happening. So it was kind of a perfect storm for people to be able to go on there and be part of community and learn. Discord and Twitter is great, and that's really where a lot of the groundswell work came for community coming together for NFTs. And it still is where a lot of the original folks that were putting out together, but a lot of the influx of new people, that's where they're first going for information.
mm,
So for me, it's kind of a mixed bag because I get frustrated relatively quickly. And part of it is I don't have a ton of time, quite honestly. I can't just be like, hey, let me log in and hang out on this Twitter space for an hour. That's rare. Usually I'm like driving from A to B and I'll pop in for a few minutes and sometimes get
mm,
dragged into a convo. But what frustrates me a little bit, and I guess this could happen anywhere, is there's a lot of people. I like to make this analogy. I trained martial arts for a long time,
mm.
took some amateur fights, was on the verge of a pro fight, injured myself doing something stupid in basketball. And
Oh, wow.
the pedigree of the people that teach you matter. I feel like it matters. It was always important to me. It made a difference to know I was learning from someone that actually fought or had credentials or was belted. And then sometimes, so what would happen is the school I went to, my trainer left, he moved away, and we had to find new schools, and people were saying, hey, this one's cool. Look at this facility. Look at these guys teaching us all these things. And it would be people that I just knew from the gym. You know what I mean? Like people that were giving lessons that knew less than me. And I could go there and exercise, but it was different. So I think, people have to have a lens and, who's teaching. As long as you have that perspective, I think that it's a great tool, especially to get heard, because this is where people are kind of gravitating towards for information right now. Just like
Yeah.
just like they talk about PFP projects being a gateway to then go into more collectible art, down to generative stuff, down to one of ones. People
Hmm.
go into the funnel. And I think
Yeah.
Twitter Spaces right now is one of the first stops. You want to know about NFTs? You're probably Googling something and you're probably ending up in a Twitter space. And then maybe you find your way into First Discord or into Whale or whatever. And so I think it makes sense as creators or as communities to kind of have a voice where people are looking. And so
Hmm.
it makes sense for you to pop in there. It makes sense for us to pop in there and do some things as well, because we want to be there for the people. We don't want to be ostracizing and only, the same group that was there 6 months ago. If other people want to be part of your community, that's the way to bridge to them.
Yeah. I see. It's the gateway. It's the gateway drug, and then you start going down the rabbit hole. I
Yes.
agree. I agree, man.
But
And
but full disclosure, I put on Twitter all the time. Like I got into one space, and then within like 3 minutes, someone said, "Man, we're so early. This NFT thing has only been around for like 4 months. I wanted to drive off a bridge. Like I wanted to set myself on fire, right? No,
yo, that's crazy.
and is that the fault of everybody listening? No, So it's I have to keep perspective there.
Yeah, damn, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. I'm pretty sure everybody calls you an OG too when you hop
Not me. And I'm far from an OG, but I made, I'm fortunate to talk to OGs and people that have that intellectual capital like yourself and absorb a lot of it. And so I'm good at pretending. I absorbed as much as I can from you guys and trying to relay it. So hopefully I'm useful in some way. At the least I can look cool when I bop, right? When you
in.
got a jam on and I'm dancing over here. I know we
Nah,
kept you for
man.
a long time, man, but a couple more questions, and then you actually had some music you wanted to debut. So I'll make sure we get to that.
Yeah,
Um, Someone's asked, well, actually, someone made a comment. They said, and I think this talks to people trying to understand how to use NFTs, and maybe it talks to the dynamic about bringing new people on and making them understand it. They said they have some music NFTs, but they find like they need to go find that NFT and unmute it to listen to the song, and then it runs out. It's not part of basically, it's not part of something that's easy to experience as music, right?
some platforms are like that because what I notice is this platform which is on Polygon called Mixed, right? You do everything in the NFT platform, but then when you go over to OpenSea and you look at your NFT, I only see the graphic image. I can't even figure out where the music is. Also with like Catalog Works, if you own Catalog Works, it's easy, simple. Like I think that's why everybody likes it. It's simple. But then when you go over to Zora, you'll see that the music is separate from the image. It's still right next to each other and it's easy to figure it out. But it's not like nice and neat how it looks like on Catalog Works. So I understand, what the person is mentioning, but I would say it's sometimes it's just the different NFT platforms, music NFT platforms that you're utilizing. It might, I mean, which one is which platform is that person talking
I
about?
don't know.
Because
We'll
that
we'll
that
see
makes
if they
that
we'll see if
makes
they
yeah,
chime in, but I can relate a
yeah,
little bit. Like there's some platforms where I'll be like, "Oh, this is dope. I want to listen to this," and it'll be in my car or whatever. It's connected right in the Bluetooth, and then when my phone shuts off, when the screensaver pops up, the song stops. Right, like it's not
yeah,
integrated in an app. I'm not at a desktop, so who knows? Maybe there's going to be your platform you're working on, your DApp. Who knows, right? Like there'll be
yeah,
some other solution in the near future, probably.
yeah. Those little things, those little details, man. When they start getting kinked out, it'll just make the adoption much more easier for people.
Yeah, and then someone had a unique question for you. They said you do so much and you've always done so much in the metaverse. What is the definition of the metaverse to you?
Man, for me, the metaverse, I look at it as like a fully functioning economy and ecosystem and creative space for people to build and connect with people. Like it's really, really on another. It's like, well, obviously it's Web3, but it's like I always related back to Ready Player One. Like for me, I think of it as a really fully functioning virtual space that you can do everything in the real world, sorry, everything in the real world almost except for like touch and feel for right now maybe, maybe like with Oculus and all these other like sensory type of things you can do. But I love it. I love it, and I can't wait to see when I have my kids, where these metaverse spaces will be at, um, because I think it's going to be revolutionary.
There was a time where I didn't have land and I started feeling anxiety. And I was like, man, like this is, this is where it's at. But definitely appreciate your perspective because you've been in it and doing stuff in it for a long time. And are we going to continue to see that for the foreseeable future? Is there anything new and cool that you'll have popping off in the metaverse?
Oh, of course, man. Of course, I'm trying to figure out to do better stuff instead of just doing DJing and things like that. I mean, I was doing exhibitions, but I want to try to figure out something even better. So what I'm trying to do is partner up with a couple gaming companies. Right now, I'm like, there's one gaming company called, I think, Black Eye. I'm sorry, I forgot the name, but let me get the name
Black
for
Eye
you.
Galaxy Metaverse?
Exactly, yeah, Black Eye Galaxy Metaverse, and yeah, I do think that what they're doing is super super cool. So I did sign on to kind of be a part of what they're doing. But my whole thing is like I think you mentioned that Snoop Dogg's kind of doing it with that other platform, but I want people to be able to stream their music from their collections into the metaverses, into the games while they're playing the games and mining for that metaverses token and things like that. So I'm trying to figure out how I can do that with my music and just make it more. I want music to kind of be a curation of a lot of things in the metaverse, man.
It's funny because I got a little guy and he discovers music all the time from his games and he'll bring dope stuff to me. He's so young. I'm
Exactly.
like, man, when I wish I had your kind of cred. I mean, the kid's definitely building quite the ear, but he
But
discovers it during his gaming.
But you remember when we would play like Madden or maybe even Call of Duty or even I haven't played games in such a long time now, but that's how people discover music. And when they hear it on Spotify, they're like, "Oh, that's the music from the game. It's a real song." And it's like, "Yeah, it's a real song. They just got they got in the video game."
Yeah,
So it's
I'll
cool,
never
man.
forget. I was at the tail end of an ancient technology and pressed up CDs, and I had some just still left over. And I remember talking to people like, "You did music?" I was like, "Yeah, I did music. Let me get you a CD." I gave it to these people. They never even listened to it. And so I'd like to think that's a byproduct of technology advancing to the point where people don't even use a CD, right? Like, I could give them a link or whatever. People are busy, but it's a dying way of discovery. People do it in shows, in movies, commercials, games.
Yeah,
And now they could own it too, right? You could own part of that's streaming in your game. You could choose it. That's a super cool future to think about.
yeah, man. It's amazing. That's why I'm here.
Well, man, speaking of music and discovery, you sent me a new joint for us to play for the crowd before we take off out of here. I'd love for you to kind of introduce us and tell us what this is about.
All right, so what we have here is my first music NFT collab with an artist named Excelencia. We're gonna be dropping well, you guys are getting a super exclusive because what we're gonna do is like token gate it later on Thursday and preview it. Not even play the whole thing, but we're gonna preview it for our community on Thursday and then drop on Catalog Works on Friday. So I'm gonna give you guys a treat. This is my first time ever with Excelencia. He also has his own token on Rally, and does amazing stuff in the space. First Hispanic artist that I know that was doing stuff in this space. And yeah, it's a Spanish record, and I'm rapping. I got a little verse on it. Did a little something
Okay.
on it. So
Okay. So do you want me to play the whole thing or should I cut it off? I don't want to make people's heads explode giving them too much. What do you want me to
we
do?
can. All right. So you're gonna hear me singing a little bit, and after that, cut it off. Cut it off.
After you're done singing, all right, they'll have to
After
come
I'm done
back to
singing.
hear the rapping, right? Got to leave them
Exactly.
hungry for something.
Exactly.
So what's the title of the song? Or that's still a secret as well.
No, the title is Real. It's called
Okay.
Real. Yeah.
All right.
Una noche por la playa, más me gusta cuando tú vayas. Eso por ahí bota falla. Tú sabes que el nene nunca falla. Después que yo baterice, a ver lo que tú dices. Hace tiempo no nos vemos, por la cosita que hacemos. Pero cuando sale a bailar, no hay quien la mire, no la puede tocar. Tanto loco que le quiere tirar. Ella tiene algo que me entiende mal. Pero cuando sale a bailar, no hay quien la mire, no la pueden tocar. Hay tanto loco que le quiere tirar. A mí tiene algo que me tiene bien mal. Tú tienes algo que me tiene bien mal. ¿Cómo te enseño que esto es real? Toda la noche no te quiero olvidar. Tú eres mía, no te quiero dejar.
I know the one they want to flame me. I don't know them boys, but they ain't me. If they want to take you, take it to me. Come and take me on me. Now she wanna vibe with a nigga like me. And she know the vibes when she coming overseas. I can't decide what you want to me. Just give me life while you on your knees. Here we are, okay. Baby, you all I need. I think you call from me. You want from me. You need from me. It's all love.
Pero cuando sale
Cut that, cut it.
no hay que la
Whoa, they were about to get too much right there.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's a dope song, man, with Excelencia and myself, and yeah, it's just a vibe.
Yeah, and so that was you then the production as well and the singing.
Nah, no production. Now people are coming to me and just saying, "Yo, can you do a verse?" I'm
Oh
like, wow,
wow.
this is new to me.
Next level, Harrison. I can't wait to have everyone's reaction hearing your verse on this. Thank you so much for breaking and teasing with the whale community. You always come with alpha, so we definitely appreciate you, my man.
Thank you guys, man.
All right, so we'll be sure to drop your socials once again into the Discord chat. Everybody can check it. Check out the new project for the new album if people want to be a part of it. It's pretty exciting what you're doing and part of that experimentation. And thank you for not only sharing with us, but pushing the space forward, always experimenting and pushing the limits of what we can do with audio NFTs.
Yes, God, thank you guys for listening to me. Hopefully, I didn't ramble, and hopefully, people got some value from what I was saying. And yeah, until next time, guys. Peace.